The art of being realistic is one a lot of people struggle with, um, but it's very easily achieved. It's very easy to be realistic with yourself in a healthy way. What am I talking about? What am I trying to say right now? Well, I didn't write down any points. I kind of just pre-planned them in my head, so we're just gonna spin. But I'm gonna give you some background, some context. I'm an artist. I like to draw quite a lot. Here's a drawing I did the other week that I was really proud of. I'm actually porting it into digital. You can't see it. It's pretty awesome though. The point being, as an artist, I'm often a little too harsh on myself, and I would call that being realistic, right? It's not. There's a difference. There's a difference between being realistic and being not confident in what you're creating and what you're producing and what you're doing in your day-to-day life. So I'm trying to get into a program that is really difficult to get into. It has about a 10% acceptance rate. I'm probably not going to get in. That's being realistic. But there's a difference in being realistic and being pessimistic. Now, the difference is I am realistic in the sense that I know I likely won't get in, but I'm not. But I shouldn't be a pessimist as much as I am often in my day-to-day life, especially when it comes to this. But I shouldn't be because I know that I might as well try. There's no harm in trying, and you shouldn't. And it's not that I'm trying for the sake of getting in because I know I'm not going to. I'm realistic, but I'm trying for the sake of trying, and knowing that I can try again, knowing that there's genuinely no reason to fear not getting in. And I can tell myself that. I'm still going to fear not getting in. It's still in the back of my mind, like constantly, because societally, there's a pressure to get a move on and to keep moving. And I've put myself in the cycle of being in college and taking out loans and all that kind of stuff. I've put myself in the cycle. I'm trapped kind of in their system. But it's nothing I can't just continue to face day to day. Now, the difference between pessimistic and optimistic are two very different things too. Because I think often I see a lot of people my age, and I guess I only see part of it, but I see a lot of people being unrealistic for what they're going to do. A lot of people that get their hopes up. Because major optimism in what you're creating, it's nice. It's really nice to be confident. It's really nice to think you're going to achieve something. But it can hurt a lot more when you're super optimistic. It can hurt so much more when you don't get in, especially if what you're producing as someone super optimistic is not good enough. And that's crushing, and it defeats people. But that's why I think realism, being realistic, is the best middle ground. And this can apply to so many things. It doesn't just need to apply to art. It can apply to so many things, just day-to-day life. Like putting too much pressure on yourself. You can be too optimistic, and then you can get hurt if you put too much pressure. If you don't put enough pressure on yourself, you can. Being optimistic often like leads you to not put enough pressure on yourself and to be loose, and then you're gonna hurt a lot. And then being too pessimistic, it'll just hurt the entire way. You're never gonna like enjoy anything, and it's gonna make it hard to even try. Because when you're so pessimistic, like myself, when I'm pessimistic, as I've been the entire past semester, I barely produced any of the art that I needed to for my portfolio. In fact, I have 30 days before my portfolio comes out, and most of it's not done. But now I have a schedule because I need to follow it. I'm getting a time crunch now because I didn't do that back then. Because guess what? I wasn't confident. I was pessimistic, and I still am. I constantly am, and it ruins my potential as an artist. I'm gonna try and change that, and I hope a lot of you guys, people watching, do that too in your day-to-day lives and try to just to reach a nice middle ground. Now, this is such a basic like thing to talk about. I know so many people talk about this kind of stuff like in so many different ways. It's so generalized. Like the idea, like you need to be realistic. Like it's hard for a lot of us. For me especially, I suffer from a lot of overarching like mental problems and like anxieties that I don't actually have an outlet to get rid of. So it's easier to be a pessimist, or it's often what you fall to. It's easier to be hard on yourself. But even if you are, I hope you're not, and I hope at the end of the day, I hope eventually you can get out of that. I hope eventually you can get out of the rut. I hope eventually I can. In the next 30 days, I'm going to be pumping this out. I'm hoping that this is going to be good for me, and I'm going to try not to be a pessimist. In fact, I've been drawing for the past 3 hours. I haven't made excellent strides or anything, but I've been doing it. I think doing it when there are doubts is better than not doing something at all. Because when you're a pessimist, often you just don't do it at all, and that hurts. Just like being too optimistic can hurt. So be realistic, in a good way. Be realistic with yourself. Realistic in the sense that you know that what you're trying to do, what you're trying to obtain, the goals you're trying to finish, you might not reach them, or you might reach them and not, in the end, get what you wanted. But at least you know in the back of your mind that that's a possibility, and have fallbacks. Don't always put all your time into one thing. Don't get too invested on these goals, because your goals are going to change, and you might not get these goals, but you might be able to obtain them later. It's just because you don't reach a goal now doesn't mean you can later with time. Because realistically, you have time. Which I guess not everyone does. And that's hard. I don't come from a super fortunate background. I don't know, I come from, we're in the middle. We've struggled with stuff, but like I'm well off. I have like a lot of good things. Like I have tablet. I'm at college, right? I can take out a loan. The point being, like, I can do these things that a lot of people can't. A lot of people don't have time, and that sucks. Just don't take anything for granted is what I'm trying to get at here. Which wasn't my initial point. My initial point was be realistic. Just be realistic with yourself and be kind. Be a little kind on yourself. Not too kind. Don't be arrogant. Because then it's gonna suck when it falls apart. If it falls apart, because often it falls apart. It's gonna fall apart all the time. It's not always gonna be perfect. But as long as you're realistic, it won't hurt that much. And you can keep moving and keep trying. I believe in you. I believe in me. Thank you. Bye.